Back when most people didn't even understand the importance of a hunting license, I had already applied for both a hunting permit and a volunteer forest ranger position. The official looked at me and made it clear this ranger job didn't pay anything. I told him I didn't care. I was willing. But I also wanted a hunting license. He laughed, saying these days everyone hunted freely and nobody cared about paperwork. Still, since I insisted, he agreed. He even hinted that if I stayed put and did my job, he could help me get a firearm permit, too. That place had been avoided ever since a wolf outbreak, and no one wanted to go there, but I accepted without hesitation. I promised him that even without pay, I would take full responsibility for protecting the forest. When I walked out with both permits in hand, I felt overjoyed. I knew that in a couple of years, once the 1980s regulations tightened, hunting without a license would get you arrested. I was already ahead of everyone. After leaving the forestry office, I went straight to the commune office to submit my family separation document. Then, with the little money I had, $8 on me, and 3 more from selling a wild pheasant, I headed to the supply store to buy essentials. I knew a heavy snowstorm would hit that afternoon, trapping everyone indoors for 2 days. My wife, Emily, was pregnant, so I couldn't let her go without proper nutrition. I bought 40 pounds of flour, some pork, eggs, sugar, and dried goods. By the time I left, my pockets were nearly empty, but I wasn't worried. In my previous life, I had started out hunting in the northern mountains, then later traded goods across borders to make a profit. I knew how to survive. On the way back, I shared some of the food with a kind woman named Maria. She didn't want to accept it at first, saying she already felt bad for taking a chicken from me earlier, but I insisted. I told her that once the snow stopped, life would get better, and with my hunting license, I could provide meat regularly from now on. She didn't even recognize what the license was, but to her, anyone with an official certificate had to be important. She accepted the food, grateful and emotional. Not long after, I ran into 2 troublemakers, Victor and a local bully named Marcus. They tried to accuse me of stealing, claiming they had reported me to the commune. Honestly, I didn't even take them seriously. Their logic was ridiculous. I had taken my own belongings from my family before officially cutting ties. How could that be theft? I shut them down easily and warned them to stay out of the forest behind our settlement. As a forest ranger, I now had authority, and if I caught them sneaking in, I could report them for stealing state resources. By the time I got home with Emily, snow had already started falling. As the sky darkened, the storm grew heavier. Remembering the tragedy from my past life, I worked non-stop to reinforce our wooden cabin. That night, Emily told me she wanted to write a letter home before the new year and asked if I could bring her paper and pens next time I went to town. I smiled and handed her a bundle. I had already bought everything she needed, including books, writing supplies, a mirror, and even some skincare. She was shocked. I told her I knew she admired college students. Although she couldn't take the national exam this year due to her pregnancy, she could prepare and take it next year. She hesitated, worried about her background and our remote location, but I assured her to focus on studying. I would handle everything else. While she wrote her letter, completely absorbed, I cooked dinner. The smell filled the cabin, but she didn't even look up. I noticed her struggling, sometimes pausing, sometimes even tearing up. She had left home at 16 and hadn't contacted her family in 4 years. With everything she had been through, she didn't know how to put her feelings into words. I gently told her to eat first and finish the letter later. That night's meal surprised her. Twice cooked pork with potatoes and white flour buns. She frowned at first, thinking I was being too wasteful, but the moment she took a bite, the rich flavor exploded in her mouth, and she froze in disbelief. The next morning, the snow was still falling heavily. I decided to head out and see if I could find anything useful.
Not far from the cabin, I spotted something strange near a tree, a yellowish lump. When I looked closer, I couldn't help but laugh. It was a deer, just standing there, staring at me with wide, clueless eyes, like it had never seen a human before. I joked to myself that in this era, any wild animal that didn't run would end up on someone's dinner table. And sure enough, it didn't move at all. It just kept staring at me as I walked closer. "Well," I muttered, "since you walked right up to me, I won't say no." Not long after bringing it back to the cabin, I noticed something alarming. Dozens of dark shapes moving in the distance. I immediately turned to Emily and told her not to open the door no matter what happened. That's when I realized why no one wanted this forest ranger job. There was a wolf pack out there. Emily panicked and tried to stop me, saying it was too dangerous. But I knew the truth. If I didn't go out and drive them away, it would be even more dangerous. Those wolves were starving, and our fragile wooden door wouldn't hold them long.